Hello, bonjour, ahoy, and welcome to today's game reaction edition of Habs Digest. I'm your host, Josh Gosse, alongside my co-host, Jesse Poirier. Before we get into this sad, tanking edition, I guess, just a quick reminder to hit subscribe. We're almost at 4,600 subscribers. You guys have been loving our videos recently. We really appreciate it. So if you haven't hit that button, hit it now. Help us hit 5K. We'd love it. So that game was a quintessential tanking game. I played the animation at the start of the video for a reason. The Habs get smoked 5-0 by the Detroit Red Wings. I'm going to try and keep the energy up because I'm not going to lie to you guys and to you, Jesse, my energy was down before recording this. It was down for most of this game. But in a game like this, I don't know, sometimes when you're in a tanking season with the roster the Habs had tonight with so many call-ups, you just got to take one of these games on the chin and move on to the final stretch.
That's just it. And I think, our thumbnail just kind of sums it up, is that just no gas left in the tank, whatsoever. This is really just one of those games where it's at the end of the long season and we're just seeing that fatigue kind of starting to set in. We've been asking a lot of young players, a lot of AHL players at this point in time. And so really we're just kind of seeing the culmination of that at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to just look at the roster construction. Of course, Jordan Harris, Raphael Harvey-Pinard not playing tonight, along with all the other injuries on the team. The D-Corps had Corey Schueneman and Chris Weidman in it at the same time. I will say, though, Jesse, I mean, even though we say there was no gas left in the tank for most players, that didn't hold true for some. Someone like Mike Matheson improves day in and day out, is constantly showing he is just one of the stars of this team. Nick Suzuki doing what he could, being physical, laying a big hit in this game, just, I guess, letting some anger out because he's had revolving line mates. Everything has sort of gone wrong this season for Montreal. But the one thing, Jesse, I wanted to focus on for this, because since there's not many positives, focus on maybe a learning point, is the Habs defense. And yes, I know, I just said the Habs defense is just not there right now. It was like Matheson, Barron, Kovacevic, and Schueneman and Edmundson. It's just not the best D-Corps, but man, even with that lineup at the NHL level, you gotta think that they would at least have the capability to stop some of these amazing Detroit opportunities, because it truly felt like this Detroit team, who has fallen well out of the playoff picture, was getting anything they wanted tonight.
It's so true. And just we're having so much difficulty just really getting the puck out of the zone. Like, the fatigue was really just showing. We were taking very low percentage plays just to try and getting it out. And you just kind of knew it was kind of like watching like a slow moving train wreck. You knew it wasn't going to quite work, but everybody just really tired tonight. You got to feel for definitely the fans there tonight. Yeah. You could tell that they just wanted to explode and just kind of cheer for something, a goal. But one of those kind of frustrating games. And it's tough because at least most of the time this season, when we've been losing, at least we've really brought that energy and we've kind of been close and we've been in the game. Unfortunately, just not one of those tonight, and we're going to see that at the end of the year. It's just, very tired team, a very young team. So it is kind of wearing on them a little bit, but, good that we're able to stay in it all the same. And really this, it's a testament to Nick Suzuki, though, who has been able to stay healthy despite all of this.
Yeah, I mean, one of the, I guess, only positive things you can take out of this game is that no one got hurt. And Nick Suzuki has been doing some amazing stuff. There was actually a quote from Jonathan Kovacevic that came out earlier today. Just admires the Habs captain, says, doesn't know what it is, but the stuff he does on the ice, the leadership he brings. And he says he's a tough guy. And we saw that again tonight. Like, how many times have you seen Nick Suzuki complain to the refs? How many times have you seen him just take the body in a puck battle? This guy's leading by example. So it's just another, further proof that he is the right choice for captain. But, oh boy, yeah, you got to feel for the fans. And like you said, Jesse, there's just, you want to at least see your team put up a good effort. And tonight just wasn't that. I mean, Detroit, in the first period, I think it was the shots were 4-4 and it was 2-0 for Detroit. The first was a Lucas Raymond laser beam, whatever, blasted it past Kaiden Primeau. But then David Perron gets just a breakaway when a pass sails right through two Habs defensemen who just aren't back far enough. Perron just takes it between them and gets an easy breakaway goal. And it just spiraled away from there. Of course, Perron ended with 2 goals, and a few of the Detroit players there was a scrappy goal in front of the net. Nothing too crazy, but at the same time, Jesse, in a 5-0 loss, you got to talk about the goalie, Kaiden Primeau, coming up from Laval to make, I think, only his second start of the season, or maybe he played earlier in the year, I don't really remember, but his second recently. He posted a .762 save percentage. I don't want to crap on Kaiden Primeau too much because, again, the defense wasn't great, but I don't know about you, but I'm starting to wonder about him, man. I'm starting to see maybe Jakub Dobes should be getting some more looks in the AHL going forward.
Well, I definitely love to hear like everybody's thoughts in the comments of whether you think Cayden Primeau has a future with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, in my opinion, of late, he had a good game against the Flyers, even though they lost. And then he had a little bit of a rough game. Let's be honest, though, he didn't have, too much help. It wasn't our greatest effort tonight, unfortunately. So I think, Habs management, they're going to chalk it up. They're going to say 1-1. So they're still going to give him another chance, for right now. I don't think like his future is completely over now with the Habs, after this one game. I think they understand the circumstances that he is playing in. But he is definitely on thin ice at this point in time. A part of me would love to see him just kind of pull through. But, I think as Habs fans, we're all getting a little bit skeptical at this point in time.
Hey, and I mean, people got to remember, this guy was a 7th-round draft pick at one point. I mean, same as Raphael Harvey-Pinard, I guess. But if Cayden Primeau ever ends up even being an NHL backup, that's a big win. So, you know what? He's trying his best out there. Didn't get any help tonight and unfortunately let in a lot of goals. One thing, Jesse, tonight, though, I think one other issue, other than the Habs defense, I wanted to talk a bit about discipline. And that kind of goes into a few different areas of the game, because I don't just mean discipline on defense. I mean discipline on offense. I mean discipline of making the right play. Knowing when to do what is a very important thing, and it's not something that comes easy to a lot of young players. That's something you learn with time. But tonight it really felt like the Montreal Canadiens weren't disciplined, let alone the effort. They'd go into the zone, and I felt like there were a lot of times where players were trying to make the selfish play. They're like, well, we got 0 goals, we got to put something on the board, and they would try and do it themselves, and it wasn't really working. Or in the defensive zone, trying to make a crazy stretch pass out of the zone. One Justin Barron turned over, and of course lots of other times it got intercepted. And also with the penalties, I think there was at one point in the second period where there was like 6 straight penalty minutes. I don't see this as a concern going forward. I think this is another just element of fatigue. But did you notice that tonight? And if so, did it concern you at all?
I did notice that tonight. And the worst part is it was always at the worst times, like you were saying, when maybe we could kind of come back when this game was still within reach. I remember at one point, Gary, as I like to call him, just taking a really bad penalty. The worst possible time. Definitely. So that's a big thing. It's another thing that we're definitely going to have to look at to try and just kind of remedy for next season is, of course, we're one of the highest penalized teams in the league. So definitely hurting us there. But on the inverse of that, I would say that one of the few bright spots of this game was that first power play that we had, but not the 2 subsequent ones, but that first power play in the first period did look really good. And with Sean Farrell on it, as advertised, as predicted on Habs Digest, Sean Farrell looking really good on the power play. I actually really like that look where like Suzuki's down low. He was kind of on that left side of the ice, down low, kind of, and just had so many options. I like him as a playmaker, in that position, and I think they were trying to get pucks in the net on that power play, which was pretty much missing from every part of the game other than there, essentially. But, at least for that, kind of looking good. I mean, Suzuki just being swift, like all over the ice, even on the penalty kill, creating opportunities. And just the fact is, I love that narrative that Kovacevic brought up, because it's not something that we hear as much, right? That quote that you brought up earlier, Josh, is that, he is tougher than we're realizing. He's battling. He's a warrior out there. He's not afraid to get physical. And I think that's so important for the identity of our team. Not only can he have this endurance to take care of himself over the long season and as a young captain and be there every single game, but also to show a little bit of edge to that game with all of his skill. Now, that's something I'm looking forward to kind of see develop, because I think if he can do that, that's going to be really good for the Montreal Canadiens. Not just in the regular season, of course, but in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, great point. I mean, he's developing different parts of his game every year. I don't see why an extra level of physicality can't come. Although you do have to wonder, with more physicality, maybe becomes more injuries. But he's been pretty healthy, so I'm pretty happy. And I like your point about the power play. Suzuki playing that down low role kind of reminds me, because again, as you guys know, I also follow the Minnesota Wild and Kaprizov. That's where he makes his money, right? He stands right on that goal line, except for him, it's on the opposite side of the net because he's a lefty shot. Him and Zuccarello passing back and forth behind the net for these tap-ins, but Kaprizov just being able to look around and facilitate. I think it's cool to see Suzuki play that role, and I think it worked really well in that first power play. And also a quick tangent, talking about the refs. At the end of the game, it was cool. I think the ref's name was Mark Jeanette. It was a 20-something year reffing career. The players all went. Mike Matheson led the charge to shake the ref's hand after the game to congratulate him. So that was cool. But at the end of the day, the Habs solidify a bottom 8 finish in the standings. They are 100% picking in the top 10 at the very worst. And there's still a chance, guys, that the Habs get 2 top 5 picks. Because even though Florida's pick has no chance at number 1, it can jump up as high as number 4. So we're excited for that. The draft lottery is coming not that far from now. And yeah, we can't wait to keep you updated. But that'll do it for this game reaction edition of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel. Help us hit 5,000 subscribers. We'd really, really appreciate it. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.